Welcome to Chemistry with Dr. Z. In this video, I'm going to talk about esters. So what are esters? Esters is another class of organic compounds. They have the functional group COO. So esters are formed by condensation reaction between carboxylic acids and alcohols in the presence of an acid catalyst. So when you have a carboxylic acid and you have an alcohol, they both can react together in a reaction called condensation reaction. And condensation means removal of a water molecule. So you remove a water molecule from the structure and then you're going to get the product, which is going to be an ester. So hydrogen in this case for the water, the condensation, the hydrogen will be lost from the alcohol, the OH of the alcohol, and then the OH of the water is going to be lost from the carboxylic acid. And then a new bond will be formed between the carbon of the carboxylic acid and the oxygen of the alcohol. So an example of that is a reaction between ethanol as an alcohol and ethanoic acid as a carboxylic acid. As we can see, the hydrogen is lost here from the OH from the alcohol, and the OH is lost from the carboxylic acid. And then a new bond then will be formed between the carbon and the oxygen, the carbon of the carbonyl group and the oxygen. So this is the ester functional group now, which is the COO. And then we also have water as one of the products because this is the condensation reaction, which is removal of water. So how do we name ester? So any ester has two parts. We have the alcohol part and then we have the carboxylic acid part. So for the first part of the name will come the name of the alcohol. So in the alcohol, we will remove the anol at the end of the alcohol and replace it with -ile. For example, if you have propanol, then the alcohol part of the ester is going to be called propyl, and we say this part first before we say the part related to the carboxylic acid itself. And then the second part will come from the name of the carboxylic acid. And then in the carboxylic acid name, we're going to remove oic acid and replace it with OH. So an example of that, if we have the acid coming from methanoic acid, then the product is going to be called methanoate. So let's have a look at if we're going to draw the propyl methanoate, how would it look? So we have propanol, which is CH3, CH2, CH2OH, and then we have methanoic acid, which is HCO. OH. Then when they react together, they're gonna give us the I'm gonna draw the alcohol part, CH2O, and then C, the acid part, CO, and then H. So this is gonna be called propyl methanoate. So this is going to be called propyl methanoate. The full name from propanol and methanoic acid would be propyl methanoate. So what about the ester structure formula and displayed formula? So ethyl methanoate, for example, comes from a reaction between ethanol and methanoic acid. So ethyl methanoate. And the structure formula for that, we can either normally we would start with writing the part related to the acid before we write the part related to the alcohol. So the part related to the acid is CH3CO. This comes from the acid, and then we're gonna write the ethyl, which is CH2CH3. So always have the COO in the middle, which is the functional group of the ester. So this is how we draw it. So you have the acid here, and then you have the alcohol here. You can also draw it the other way around, so it doesn't really matter how we draw it. So you can start with the acid, with this part first. So you can draw um, the ethanoic acid part first, and then you can then draw the alcohol part. So both of them are correct. You can either start with the acid or start with the alcohol on the left, as long as you draw the connection correctly and you show that the functional group, which is COO, correctly in the structure.